Much like the BGs, the Indiana Fever are staying alive and have forced a Game 5 with a 90-83 win against the Las Vegas Aces. And before we go any further, previously on this channel, if you're the Fever, you go watch the tape, you go get your physical therapy done, you try to clear your minds and come into, Sunday with the mindset of you are ready to die on the floor before you let the Aces pack you up at home. Get packed up on the road. You don't want to get eliminated at home. New prediction. I guess I have nowhere to go now. My back's against the wall too. I'm not going to go against this team because that's not what I do. I'm going down with the ship. Indiana Fever in 5. We'll be here when that happens. Let me know. Peace. It's one lifetime with Rich Latta. Now let's talk about this game. What an excellent win. Drama-filled all throughout. The Aces wouldn't die. Aliyah Boston and A'ja Wilson, a duel for the ages, just busting each other. Just like this is some Kareem versus Wilt, type of stuff here. There was just so much, great basketball here. And Kelsey Mitchell had an excellent game. Timely points by Odyssey Sims, who recovered from her Game 4, displays. And then Becky Hammon going full Chris Webber at the end of this thing, calling a timeout and when you didn't have any. And I think if this was like the NBA, like a coach would be getting like killed for this. I don't know if she's going to slide on this, but that definitely made sure they had no chance of winning. All the Nalissa Smith stuff kind of slowed up this game. But for me, this is Wilson versus Boston, the great duel that we've all been waiting for. They've taken turns having terrible games, locking each other up, basically, just trying to play through other people. But we got the thing a lot of us were coming to see, the South Carolina big woman duel. And if you didn't watch that, man, it was something special. I thought anytime A'ja Wilson pretty much got a step on her and got to her left hand, she was successful. And conversely, Aliyah Boston, anytime she was able to put that big body on whoever ended up in front of her, including Wilson, Meg Gustafson, Nalissa Smith, anybody that tried, you want some, come get some. The Indiana Fever going to Game 5 is truly one of the more fascinating stories in American sports history. Losing Caitlin Clark, and battling, losing Sophie Cunningham, losing the rest of the squad and still battling. One game away from the WNBA Finals. In a Game 5, anything could happen. Red Jacket Stephanie White, 5-0 in the Red Jacket this year. They pointed this out on the broadcast. I happen to always enjoy seeing which jacket that Coach White is going to pull out, but she seemed like she had ultimate control over this game. It wasn't really about her jackets. Timely substitutions, a hell of a defensive plan, and basically deciding, you're like, our stars, we're going to ride them to success with contributions from other people, like your Odyssey Sims, even Lexi Hull with a couple of timely defensive plays. Natasha Howard had some points where she was scaring me, I ain't going to lie, where I thought, I was like, oh my God, is Natasha Howard about to lose this game? But then, she would make a big rebound. She would get a defensive stop. Just imagine if you played a better fourth quarter in Game 3. This could be the end of the series here, wrapping up. But I also said in my last video, it wasn't supposed to be easy. And the Fever have taken, the best shot from the Aces. Last game, the Aces played very well for what it's worth, but there was a period that I noticed in the third quarter, which I felt like really decided this game, where the Aces came back into the half down 8. And they had a really good quarter, all things considered. They chopped the lead at certain points, and then they just were not able to close that third quarter in a strong fashion. And what happened was, as well as they played, they went to the bench, and they were down 5 points. And feeling like you had a bunch of success, I think just psychologically that's got to mess with you a little bit. Like, damn, we did all this, and we're still down 5. And, you end up losing by 7 there. By the end of the game. Lots of challenges. Oh my God, I'm tired of the challenges, man. It seems like it takes too long, pushes the game back, but we'll save that for another day. This is a hell of a win for the Indiana Fever. They got off to a nice start to begin the game and really just held control all throughout. And the Aces were just trying to climb back up, but could not find enough to go with A'ja Wilson's monster game. Jackie Young did add 18 points, but everyone else kind of, did not show up in the way they had been. Alyssa Smith with 8 points on 4-5 shooting. Trouble with foul trouble, and she, did not see the amount of minutes that she did last game, I believe. Jewel Lloyd, there was a point where there was a huge opportunity in the fourth quarter to come out of the timeout with a play, and they went to Jewel Lloyd. And I was like, what would you do that for? And then, she shot a big brick. And from there, that just added on to her 2 of 8, -10. That's a rough game. She's kind of being used as a defensive stopper, but she didn't really have a lot of success with Kelsey Mitchell today. Chelsea Gray threw up 2 heaves when the game was out of reach. Otherwise, she only added 6 points, 9 assists, and 5 turnovers. I know a lot of people like to talk about the turnovers, so let's talk about them. 5 turnovers for Chelsea Gray, the point guard, and several other turnovers from the Aces. 3 from Wilson, 3 from Smith, 2 from Young, 1 each for Gustafson and Lloyd. And if I were to look at the points off turnovers, I guarantee that this would not be favorable to the Aces. Like, we would be able to look at exactly what happened in this game through just that metric. So I'm going to do that for you. Yeah, the Indiana Fever, 25 points off turnovers right there, and they got a +9 in that. And you look at what they won the game by, they won by 7. So that's the game right there. Like, you can spin it however you want, and there are different variables that happen in a game, but ultimately it was Kelsey Mitchell and Aliyah Boston busting ass, points off turnovers, Shea Petty in the first half with her 7-point run that just ensured the Aces weren't going to do anything. And this team just found a way to survive another day. There was no way this team was going to fold up like origami in front of that home crowd. No, it was not happening. So yes, we are getting Game 5 Tuesday night. We will be here. I will probably watch it on the live just for the experience. And I can't say enough. Even if this was going to be the last game of the season, which I said it would not be. Just like seeing the type of pride that Aliyah Boston approached the game with, I called her out. I was like, yo, you got to do better. You can't be shooting 5 of 16 and basically like scoring in single digits and stuff like that. And she responded with a game today much befitting of, her talent and her reputation. 24 points, 14 boards, 5 assists. Those are monster numbers. That is Tim Duncan-esque. Like, that is like what you want from, your big player. And every time she got an opportunity in the paint, she was making people suffer. Either she was putting a body on them, she was knocking them out the way, or she was scoring. She was going to the line. She had it all going today. You don't win this game without Aliyah Boston. So where does all this leave us now? We're going back to Las Vegas for Game 5. I think these teams know each other well. They probably are not too fond of each other at this point. A'ja Wilson woke up and finally had a great game in this series. I would say her first true great game. 31 points, 9 boards, and I think we do have to mention that she did miss a couple big free throws down the stretch that could have knocked the game a little bit closer, but I don't know if you can get on her too much. She still had 31 points. She still was the best player on the floor for the Aces by far. But do you want A'ja Wilson succeeding at the expense of the rest of the team? Like, even Jackie Young's 18 points today were very quiet. 18 points, 9 assists, and 5 fouls for Jackie Young. It seemed very quiet. Like, outside of A'ja Wilson, there just wasn't much going. They put Meg Gustafson in for 15 minutes, and brother, it says -4, but she was horrific. She was getting fried. And when she would have to cover switches, they were leaving her wide open, and she was shooting up bricks, and it just didn't seem like she was, ready for the moment there. But the Aces roster is so kind of thin at this point. They had really no other choice. And through 4 games, it feels like when the Fever are able to get this more of an up and down game, if it's back and forth, that's to their advantage. It feels like with the Aces, when they slow it down and they can, be very selective with what they want and really like take the fight to the Fever and basically shut the Fever's water off with funneling different kinds of funnel defenses to get people into Asia. That's their path to victory. But I saw something from Stephanie White that she called with those screens for Aliyah Boston, where Aliyah Boston was essentially getting to pick the person she posted up, because that person would screen Asia, or even Asia would get caught down there. And she would, just go to that low right block, and she'd be able to do whatever. I think that's the best offense for the Indiana Fever. And then Kelsey Mitchell, just abusing people on back cuts. It really feels like the Indiana Fever have a great chance of winning Game 5 and really just pulling one of the bigger upsets, I think, that, a lot of people have watched. And this is definitely something that I think Game 5 is a huge game for the history of this league. You look at what has been established this season for the Fever, and when Caitlin steps back onto the floor, they're an instant title contender. You saw the value last game of where Caitlin Clark could have been beneficial. You saw this game, Odyssey Sims come out there and just have a really good game. Was that anything that Caitlin Clark couldn't have done? I don't think so. A lot of people talk about the future, right? But I think the future has arrived already. And people are kind of lucky that Caitlin's not in the lineup, or I feel like this Aces series could have been a sweep. It could have been the Fever just taking the broom to them. Instead, they'll go 5 games. And if the Aces are able to pull it out, then they earned it against a scrappy underdog squad with tons of bright potential in their future, and a young lineup that's able to take advantage of, players being on rookie deals and getting people to sign up to come play in this culture, because the league is going to be theirs in a few years. And if the Fever are able to pull this off, it's one of the great upsets in American sports history. From there, you go to the finals, and presumably you're going to see the Mercury if, Napheesa Collier's, permanently jacked up kind of, with that leg injury. You might get a real story there with, the DeWanna Bonner and Alyssa Thomas against, the Indiana Fever and, all the jawing they've been doing throughout this season. It's almost made, it is almost written by a Hollywood script. One could only wish that the Fever were at full strength to really take advantage of that story, but I think it'll be effective, in its own way. And hopefully we get some more, reporting on that and everything. So to wrap this up, very proud of the Indiana Fever, very proud of Coach Stephanie White. 25 for Kelsey, 24 for Aliyah Boston. And like Kobe Bryant once said, the job's not done. The job's not finished. Go out there and win that. Send them home at home. Shock the world. Indiana Fever in 5. Let's ride.